All right, so you want to start a business. Awesome. And I bet you've heard the same old advice, right? You got to quit your job, burn the boats, go all in. But what if I told you that all-in approach is actually the fastest way to fail? Yeah. Let's talk about a much smarter, way more strategic path to actually building that dream.
I mean, we've all seen this story play out, haven't we? It's the classic tale. The hero quits their boring 9 to 5 in some big, dramatic leap of faith to chase their passion. Look, it's a powerful idea, it's super romantic, and hey, it makes for a great movie scene. It's the story we're told you have to live to show true commitment.
But what if that whole narrative, as inspiring as it sounds, is actually just setting people up for a total disaster? What if the very act of going all in is the thing that sinks your brilliant idea before it even has a chance to float?
Okay, let's get real for a second. What actually happens when you take that leap too soon? Because the real cost of quitting, it's not just about losing a paycheck. Oh no, it's about the absolutely crushing pressure it creates. Think about it. All of a sudden, everything is on the line. You've got that constant financial stress because the bills don't stop coming. Then there's this emotional urgency, this feeling that you have to make it work right now. The fear of failure, it becomes totally paralyzing. And every tiny mistake feels like it could be the end of the world. I mean, that is an incredibly stressful way to try and build anything new.
And here's the real kicker. All that pressure, it doesn't make you sharper. It doesn't make you more focused. It just distorts your judgment. You start making calls out of sheer desperation instead of clear, logical thinking.
Think about it this way. When your actual survival, like your ability to pay rent and buy groceries, isn't tied to the success of this one single idea, you can be objective, right? You can actually listen to feedback. You can test things. You can admit when something just isn't working. But without that safety net, you're so much more likely to just cling to a bad idea way past its expiration date.
So, if that whole pressure cooker environment is the problem, what's the solution? It's simple, really. You have to start seeing that day job not as a cage you need to escape from, but as your #1 strategic advantage. It's your foundation of stability. And this chart really lays it all out, doesn't it? Look at the two paths. On one side, you're making decisions based on desperation. You're rushing ideas out the door, and the cost of failure is sky high. But with the job providing that stability, you get the freedom to make decisions based on evidence. You can test your ideas patiently, and you can treat failure for what it really should be, a cheap, low-cost way to learn.
And this right here, this is the core idea. Stability is not weakness. It is not a lack of courage. It is leverage. It's the solid ground that lets you take smart, calculated risks instead of just wild, desperate gambles.
Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, but how do we actually do this? Well, it's all about using a simple framework called the gradual transition spectrum. And this isn't about staying stuck in your job forever. It's about moving forward intelligently.
The goal here is so simple but so powerful. You want to protect your stability while you are learning. That's it. You are literally separating the act of earning a living from the act of learning how to build a business. And that separation, that is the absolute key.
So this spectrum has 3 pretty clear stages. First up, you've got your job plus your experiments. This is pure learning mode, okay? Zero pressure to make a dime. Then, if one of those experiments starts to show some real promise, you move to stage 2, job plus a side hustle. Here, you invest a bit more time, maybe start earning some income, but your day job is still that solid foundation. And then, only when you have real, hard evidence, we're talking predictable income, you understand the risks, only then do you even consider moving to that business first stage. And the really crucial thing to remember here is that you don't just jump from one stage to the next because you feel like it, or you get a sudden burst of inspiration. No, you move because the data, the evidence, is telling you that it's the right time. It's a logical, calculated progression, not some emotional leap of faith. All right, so let's bring this home and make it personal. How do you figure out where you are on this spectrum and what your very first safe step should be? I want you to ask yourself this one powerful question. If your latest business idea completely cratered today, total failure, what would you actually lose? If the honest answer is my rent money or my family's security, well, you're carrying way too much risk. But if the answer is something like a few evenings of my time and maybe $50, then you are in an amazing position to learn. Now look, it's super important to be realistic here. This approach is powerful, for sure, but it's not a magic wand. It can absolutely reduce your pressure and improve your decisions, but it can't just remove all the uncertainty, and it definitely doesn't guarantee success.
Building something new is always going to require a ton of effort, and navigating the unknown. This is just about giving you a much better, smarter way to do it.
And that really is the ultimate takeaway, isn't it? This isn't some get-rich-quick scheme. It's a get-smart-safely strategy. The goal isn't to become an overnight success. That's a myth anyway. The real goal is to survive long enough to figure out what actually works. It's about playing the long game and winning it.
So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. Go back and look at that transition spectrum again. What specific concrete evidence would you need to see in your own project before you felt truly ready to move to the next stage? Seriously, defining that for yourself right now, that is the most strategic first step you can possibly take.